Find the exact values of the remaining trigonometric functions of theta satisfying the given conditions. Secant of theta equals -9/4, and theta lies in quadrant 3. First, note that knowing that theta lies in quadrant 3 tells you that the values of sine of theta, cosecant of theta, cosine of theta, and secant of theta are negative, and the values of tangent of theta and cotangent of theta are positive. Begin by finding the value of cosine of theta. Write cosine of theta equals 1 divided by secant of theta. Next, substitute -9/4 for secant of theta. Recall that dividing by a fraction is equivalent to multiplying by its reciprocal. So rewrite 1 divided by -9/4 as 1 times -4/9. Simplify to get -4/9. Next, find the value of sine of theta. First, write the Pythagorean identity. Sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1. Substitute -4/9 for cosine of theta. You will get sine squared of theta plus -4/9 squared equals 1. Subtract the quantity -4/9 squared from each side of the equation and simplify. You will get sine squared of theta equals 65/81. Because the value of sine of theta is negative in quadrant 3, take a negative square root of each side of the equation. You will get sine of theta equals negative the square root of 65/81. Simplify to get sine of theta equals negative the square root of 65 divided by 9. Next, find the value of cosecant of theta. Write cosecant of theta equals 1 divided by sine of theta. Substitute negative square root of 65 divided by 9 for sine of theta. Next, recall that dividing by a fraction is equivalent to multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. So rewrite 1 divided by the quantity, the square root of 65 divided by -9 as 1 times -9 divided by the square root of 65. Simplify to get -9 divided by the square root of 65. Next, rationalize the denominator of the fraction by multiplying it by the square root of 65 divided by the square root of 65. Simplify to get -9 square root of 65 divided by 65. Now you're ready to find the value of tangent of theta. Write tangent of theta equals sine of theta divided by cosine of theta. Next, substitute negative square root of 65 divided by 9 for sine of theta and -4/9 for cosine of theta. Recall that dividing by a fraction is equivalent to multiplying by its reciprocal. So rewrite negative square root of 65/9 divided by -4/9 as negative square root of 65/9 times -9/4. Multiply and simplify to get square root of 65 divided by 4. Finally, find the value of cotangent of theta. Write cotangent of theta equals 1 divided by tangent of theta. Substitute square root of 65 divided by 4 for tangent of theta. Next, recall that dividing by a fraction is equivalent to multiplying by its reciprocal. So rewrite 1 divided by the quantity square root of 65 divided by 4 as 1 times 4 divided by the square root of 65. Simplify to get 4 divided by the square root of 65. Rationalize the denominator by multiplying the fraction by square root of 65 divided by the square root of 65. Simplify to get 4 square root of 65 divided by 65.